Opinionated Idiot.
Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Welcome back to the Opinionated Idiot live show. It's Tuesday, May 16, 2023. How is everybody doing? If it's not Idaho, they don't want to watch. If it's not Idaho, they don't want to watch. What are you all going to do when there's no more Idaho stuff, when this case completes? I'm just joshing on you. I'm very ill prepared this evening. I've been meaning to do this stream for a while, but so much Idaho stuff has come out lately, and it's just gripping the YouTube world. It's just gripping the YouTube world. We're all salivating at the next document, the next conspiracy theory, the next interview. We're all trying to figure it out. But I think that, with Idaho, we ain't going to hear anything until the 26th of June. Hopefully, if they have that preliminary hearing. But tonight, we're going to get into Mr. Mastermind himself, Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't mean saying that in a good way. We know the checkered past of Mr. Epstein, and Epstein didn't kill himself. So we're going to get into that tonight. Just give me like 2 seconds. I got a quick housekeeping thing to take care of here, and we'll get into tonight's broadcast. All right. So what I like to do is, like you always know, like I do with my shows, I like to go back. And refresh. So I have an article here from the BBC, and it says, who was Jeffrey Epstein, the financier charged with ST? I'm censoring it so I don't get smashed off YouTube. All right. Quote from Jeffrey Epstein: I'm not a SP, I'm an offender. Jeffrey Epstein told the New York Post in 2011. It's the difference between a murderer and a person who steals a bagel. And what we're going to get into this evening, besides going back and looking, is that there's been some new accounts that a list, maybe some address books, maybe some contacts will be released to the public. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of fucking people that are wrapped up on this list. This guy seemed like he had ties to everybody, either in the entertainment industry, the political sphere, the sports world, Hollywood. This guy was fucking hanging out with everybody. And I'm telling you, there are people shitting. They don't want this list to drop. But anyway, we'll go on with this article. Epstein died in a New York prison on 10th of August as he waited without the chance of bail for his trial of ST charges. It came more than a decade after the conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor, from which he was a registered SO. I'm telling you, this clown, this scumbag, probably was the largest trafficker of young underage women. I mean, it's really a lot of evidence out there that supports this. And it's funny, he gets scrubbed off the world just before his trial, and a lot of weird links to that scrubbing. Supposedly the cameras didn't work. There's no camera in his cell, pointing in his cell. The guards were sleeping, all this weird stuff. Where they found his body inside the cell. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. So this time he was accused of running a vast network of underage girls for sex, and he pleaded not guilty. The 66-year-old in the past socialized with Prince Andrew, a former President former Presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. Who else? But who was Jeffrey Epstein? This guy had ties to everybody, not just the people that are listed here, everybody. And one of the biggest, highest powered people in the world, Bill Gates. So it says, born and raised in New York, Epstein taught maths and physics in the city at a private Dalton school in the mid-1970s. He also studied physics and math himself at university, although he never graduated. The father of one of his students is said to have been so impressed that he put Epstein in touch with a senior partner at Wall Street investment bank, Bear Stearns. He was a partner there for about 4 years. By 1982, he had created his own firm, Jeffrey Epstein and Co. The company managed assets of the clients worth more than $1 billion and was an instant success. Epstein soon began spending his fortune, including a mansion in Florida, a ranch in New Mexico, and reputedly a large private home in New York, and socializing with celebrities, artists, and politicians. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. Donald Trump told the New York Magazine for a profile on Epstein in 2002. He's a lot of fun to be with, and even if it is even that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. In 2002, Epstein flew former President Bill Clinton and actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker to Africa on a customized private jet. He had made an unsuccessful bid to buy New York's magazine with then film producer Harvey Weinstein in 2003, and we know about that scumbag. The same year, he made $30 million donation to Harvard University. But he also strove to keep his life private, reportedly shunning social activities, social events, and dinners in restaurants. He dated women like Swiss Miss Sweden winner Ava Anderson Dubbin and Jazane Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, although he never married. And we know her involvement in all of this as well too. Rosa McDonough, the former CEO of Tiffany & Co. and Vanity Fair for 2003 article that Epstein was very enigmatic and a classic iceberg. You think you know him, and then you peel off another ring of the onion skin, and there's something else extraordinary underneath, she said. What you see is not what you get. So in 2005, the parents of a 14-year-old girl told police in Florida that Epstein had emmed their daughter, at his Palm Beach home. Police search of the property found photos of girls throughout the house. Let's see. However, prosecutors forged a deal with the hedge fund manager in 2008. He avoided federal charges, which could have seen him face life in prison, and instead received a 18-month prison sentence, during which he was able to go on work release to his office for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was released on probation after 13 months. This is what happens. This is the fucking wrong thing with our justice system, that demons and devils like this, because who they are, their social status, their power, their money, these motherfuckers get off easy. Not only people like this, but we've seen it now in this Jesse McFadden case as well in Oklahoma. And I'm going to tell you, I am going to speak a lot on that case because now that I'm investigating it, there is a lot of funky stuff going on in the McFadden case that may involve allegedly a potential cover up. There was a lot of information coming out about that, and a lot of fuckery in Oklahoma. And I definitely am going to be dropping more live streams about that. It is the most important case right now, in my opinion, on this channel. Listen, I get it. Idaho is a very people are locked into that case, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's a very sexy case. I understand what's going on with it. It's got lots of twists and turns and mystery and who did it and who didn't do it and who's involved. But the bottom line, this fucking devil, this scumbag, McFadden, the reason that case is so important is that it involves children and what he did to children. And everybody needs to know about this because that crime is not a surface layer crime. There are many layers to what's going on there. And I'm telling you, I'm going to put some time into this case, investigate it. And it doesn't matter that that fuckhead is dead now. There's more people involved in this. It's not a surface layer crime. So I promise you, you will hear more about that case on this channel. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now. The Miami Herald said that federal prosecutors Alexander Acosta, who was Secretary of Labor in Trump's administration, struck a plea agreement hiding the extent of his crimes and ending an FBI investigation into whether there were more victims or more powerful people who took part. The paper described it as a deal of the century. Mr. Acosta resigned in 2019 over the scandal, though he defended his actions as guaranteeing at last some jail time for Epstein. In 2008, Epstein had been listed as a level 3 on the New York's SO registry. It's a lifelong designation, meaning he was at high risk of reoffending, but Epstein maintained his properties and assets after his conviction. It's unbelievable. In December 2010, Prince Andrew, the third child of the Queen, was pictured in New York Central Park with Epstein, drawing controversy. In a BBC interview in November 2019, the prince, who had known Epstein since 1999, said he had gone to New York to break off their friendship. He said he regretted staying at the financier's home while he was there, and that he had let the side down by doing so. An Epstein accuser, Virginia Roberts, now Virginia Guffrey, would later allege that she was made to have sex with Prince Andrew in 2000 when she was 17. Prince Andrew categorically denied having sex with her, and he said he had no recollection of the photo of the pair being taken together in London. Epstein was arrested in New York in July of 2019 after flying back from Paris on his private jet. Prosecutors were reported seeking a forfeit of his New York mansion where some of the alleged crimes occurred. Epstein always denied any wrongdoing and pled not guilty to the charges against him. After being denied bail in court, he was being held in New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center. He was taken to hospital briefly in July for what was widely reported to be injuries to his neck, which neither prison officials or his lawyers would officially comment on. At his last court appearance on the 31st of July, it became clear that he would spend a year in prison with a trial no earlier than the summer of 2020. Prosecutors said they wanted no delay. Bringing the trial quickly was in the public interest. Now Epstein will never face trial at all. This guy was only facing a fucking year in prison. This is crazy, and it's disgusting. After Epstein's death, his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, came into the spotlight. She was arrested in July of 2020 after her seclusion mansion in the U.S. state of New Hampshire on suspicion of having assisted Epstein abuse in minors by helping to recruit and groom victims known to be underage. In December 2021, a jury in New York City found her guilty on 5 counts, including the most serious charges of ST of a minor that carries a possible 40-year sentence, which means the 60-year-old could spend the rest of her life behind bars, and she should. The Oxford-educated Miss Maxwell said to have introduced Epstein to many of their wealthy and powerful friends, including Bill Clinton and the Duke of York. Friends said that although Miss Maxwell and Epstein's romantic relations lasted only a few years, she continued to work with him long after. In court documents, former employees at Epstein Mansion in Palm Beach describe her as a house manager who oversaw the staff, handling finances, served as a social coordinator. In Vanity Fair profile published in 2003, Epstein said Maxwell was not a paid employee, but rather his best friend. During the trial, prosecutors alleged Miss Maxwell preyed and groomed young girls for Epstein to abuse. Her defense claimed she was only being used as a scapegoat for Epstein's crimes following the death. So a little bit of a background, a little background on what's going on here. I want to take you back to 2019 because obviously Epstein being off in jail. And here's from C-SPAN. This was a senators asking about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Let's play this.
In my opening statement, I wanted to talk about the death of Mr. Epstein. Do you concur with the opinion that it was a suicide?
That was the finding of the coroner, sir.
Okay. Do you have any evidence suggest otherwise?
I do not.
How could this have happened?
Unfortunately, sir, the death and the whole situation is still under the investigation of the FBI and the Inspector General's office, and I'm really not at liberty to discuss specifics of this case. I can discuss issues around institutional operations, but I can't specifically talk about that particular issue.
Okay. With a case this high profile, there's got to be either major malfunction of the system or a criminal enterprise at foot to allow this to happen. So are you looking at both? Is the FBI looking at both?
If the FBI is involved, then they are looking at criminal enterprise, yes.
Do we have people in custody today of this high profile nature? Have we done anything to adjust since Mr. Epstein's death?
Sir, we take every inmate's life very seriously in the Bureau of Prisons. A high-profile inmate is no more important or significant in terms of our operations than just the average inmate that comes our way.
I mean high profile, somebody's on a suicide watch.
I would like to explain our suicide watch system, if I may. I can't talk specifically about Epstein, but we have different tiers of response if we identify an inmate who appears to be
Welcome to the family of moderators, Johnny Archer. Congratulations. You now are a moderator and have a wrench. All right, let's keep playing through this.
Suicidal thinking. And I came into the Bureau as a psychologist. I worked with lots of suicidal inmates. I was warden in our psychiatric facility in Butner, and I know how difficult it is to always be able to predict who is suicidal and who is not. But once an inmate is identified as potentially suicidal, we have a suicide watch operation that we can place them in. It's a very stark, very difficult setting where everything is stripped from the room except a mattress. They get a coarse gown like to wear that cannot be twisted in any way that they could hang themselves from it. They have one mattress and one blanket, and they are watched constantly. There's nothing else in that room.
Mr. Epstein on suicide watch?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
However, the average time on suicide watch is only about 24 hours. Because
No, my old man said, he grabbed me by the shirt and he said, "Smoke up, Johnny."
Is such a stark and actually depressing situation.
Great movie.
We then can move them to another tier of observation, which is called psychological observation.
Did that happen in this case?
You're welcome, buddy.
I can't speak specifically, but I am
Thank
sharing
you for
this with
being
you
here.
so that you
We
understand our
appreciate it.
procedure, sir. They then can move to another tier, which is psychological observation, where they get their clothes back. They're in a more normalized setting. They are watched and scrutinized every moment of the day, but that is a much more normal environment that is far less.
Roommates?
And once, I'm sorry, sir?
Do they have roommates?
No, they do not when they're on psychological observation because they're being watched continuously.
Did Mr. Epstein have a roommate when he allegedly committed suicide?
No, he did not.
Okay. Good.
Epstein
They
didn't
move
kill
into
himself.
psychological observation. Psychologists see them routinely, interview them repeatedly, and once it's determined that
She's
the
stuttering,
threat
dude.
of suicide seems to have passed, then that inmate can be returned back to open population.
Well, clearly it didn't work here, so we await the report because all the victims of Mr. Epstein have to have their heart ripped out, else they'll never see justice.
Dr. Sawyer, can you think of any other incidents in the history of the BOP that have caused as much crisis for public trust for your institution as Epstein's death?
I can only speak for since 1976 when I joined the Bureau. I don't know prior to that, but I would say it's probably gotten the most public attention.
There are lots of taxpayers and citizens who've never thought about the BOP, and you have lots of good, patriotic, hardworking folks there. I get that. But in terms of a crisis of public trust in general, but also in terms of your workforce, this death happened in the middle of August, early August. It's Thanksgiving, and you're here to testify today, and you say you're not allowed to speak about this incident. I think that's crazy. Can you distinguish among types of investigations, at least for us? Because I'm aware of at least 3 Epstein investigations. You got a whole bunch of women who were raped by this guy. This is a sex trafficking ring in the United States. This guy had evidence.
It's probably the biggest sex trafficking ring in the United States. And I'm even going to say this probably spanned across international waters as well.
Co-conspirators, and there are victims out there who want to know where the evidence has gone. Can you tell us a little bit more about the different investigations? I understand there's at least one that you're directed by Main Justice not to speak about, but there are at least 3 investigations. Can you unpack them, please?
There are 2 investigations that are ongoing. One is the FBI's investigation, and the other is the Inspector General's investigation.
Both inside BOP, but there's a third one outside, which is why Epstein was in your institution to begin with.
Yeah, and that, sir, is completely out of my
I get that.
bailiwick.
There's a lot
the
here where
2 that are-
DOJ has failed. There's a lot here that BOP has failed. Let's just be clear so we have a level set for everybody in this room. You're in your job because of this crisis.
So this video was back on November 19th, 2019.
Right? You come here today and you say you can't testify about it, but the reason you're director now is because the last guy got fired, right?
Senator,
right.
I can't tell you what I don't know. I have received no information from the FBI investigation yet, nor no information from the Inspector General. Once those entities
No one
go
knows
into
anything,
one of our
right?
facilities, we are forbidden from talking to anybody in the institution. We can send in a team and look at wherever there might have been a security flaw or something, but we are not allowed to talk to anybody in our institutions
No one
about
knows
anything
anything.
that happened over the Epstein.
With all due respect, you still have an obligation to speak to the girls who were raped by this guy today. You may not have to speak about every particular of the guards that were arrested last night, but the fact that there is an ongoing attempt by the United States government to find out if there's still any evidence about the co-conspirators, you do have an obligation to speak to those girls who were raped today. You may not speak about the specifics of the charges against those 2 guards this morning who were taken into custody, but more broadly, you should be able to unpack, have we changed any processes about how cases like this are handled? It's been more than 90 days. And you said, I think your quote was, we treat every inmate the same. We believe in America that every individual has equal dignity, but not every inmate has equal value for future criminal investigations. Jeffrey Epstein was still to testify in a case. Somebody who's already been convicted, who may be on suicide watch, there are lots of good reasons to not want that guy to be able to kill himself. This is different because it isn't just about the individual inmate who might kill themselves. It's about the fact that that bastard wasn't able to testify against his other co-conspirators. So it is wrong as a management matter for you to say we treat everybody the same. We should be treating people who are yet to testify against other felons, against other rapists. They have a lot more priority for your institution, don't they?
Senator, pretty much all of our inmates that are in any of our jail facilities are pretrial. They're still yet to testify, to be involved, to share information on other cases.
Mary's right.
I don't know what evidence you're asking of me. If you're saying, was there any evidence in his room, in his possession at the time?
No,
that was all confiscated by the FBI.
In his brain and in the cameras and in the tapes that the American public well understands appear to not be urgent enough for the Department of Justice.
No, it's very urgent for the Department of Justice, and it's all been confiscated by the FBI, and it's all part of their investigation. That's why none of that is shared with the direct.
So this gentleman speaking, his name is Ben Sasse, or it could be Sassy, Sasse. He's from Nebraska. He's the senator in Nebraska, or previous. He ran from 2015 to 2023, and he ran for the Republican Party. He's looks like an exit interview. It looks like he's out or leaving office. Maybe he's not gonna try to re-up, but he's giving it to her. He's giving it to her.
Director of the Bureau of Prisons or anyone in the Bureau until the investigations are completed. Once those are completed, I'd be very happy to come up here and talk with any one of you that want to hear everything about we glean from those investigations. But until I have that information, there's nothing I can tell you. If I don't have the information, I cannot share anything with you.
Then how widespread is the
Ben Shapiro. I wish I wish I had Ben's money. Hey, it's just Christine says, hey, all, I was late and I watched on 2x2 recovery. Sorry, and still think Brian sounds like Ben Shapiro. Hope everybody's doing well. Geez, I don't want to sound like him, but if I could take his money, I'd have his money.
the problem of sleeping on the job? There are lots of people in the public who think this seems a very convenient excuse. And so tell us, is it a systemic problem? Do we have a lot of people who sleep on the job when they're supposed to be guarding federal inmates?
We have a few, sir. And we have been monitoring the cameras that are existing in every one of our institutions to determine how effectively our
how
inmates.
funny when this suicide supposedly happened, how the cameras didn't work and the guards were sleeping. Such bullshit around this, man.
Are doing their rounds and counts in the institutions. We have found a couple of other instances, and we have immediately referred those to the Inspector General's office. And I'm encouraging that if people just chose not to do their job, we're hoping the U.S. Attorney's Office will pick up those cases and prosecute them for us, because we don't want those people in the Bureau of Prisons. They are dangerous to everybody, the inmates and the staff. And so we are zealously going about trying to determine which of our employees are good employees and who do their job. And that is the vast majority of the prison staff. But we do have some, I know, out there who obviously choose not to follow policy, choose not to do their job, and we want them gone. I do not want them in our institutions, and I am exploring those very, very carefully to identify them and get them out of our system. Now, if it's a training problem and they didn't know what they were supposed to do, that's our problem. That's management's problem. We have to do a better job training our staff. But if someone is well-trained, well-experienced, and chooses not to do their job, we want them gone. I assure you of that.
I'm at time, so I'll just give you a preview of something I'm going to ask you for the record after the event. You made a really important statement about drone drops of different kinds of contraband into your institutions. That's obviously a new and hard problem. That's a problem against which we have to play defense, but there's also new opportunities for offense. And so what your long-term strategy is inside the institution about cameras is something that I think a lot of us would like to hear more, and I'll send you a letter with some questions. Because Epstein's hallway should have still been monitored by cameras, even if his guards were asleep, and we don't have information about whether or not there were adequate cameras there. And so I think a lot of us would like to understand where technology dollars are going.
I'll be honest with you. I think that there is a lot of fuckery going on in our U.S. government right now. I don't think I need to explain that to anybody. And I think there's a lot of it going on both sides. And I do believe that some of the people that become elected officials really do care. But there is so much corruption going on both sides right now that you don't even know who to believe anymore. I don't want to get super political in the stream tonight, but just food for thought. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. And it's funny because we were talking a little bit at work today about kind of the war in Ukraine and what's going on there and how much money we're giving to there. And it's we would just take that money and put it into programs here at the US, especially with our opioid problem, our fentanyl problem, with the homeless problem. I'm sure, I'm not going to say you can fix all of it, but if we took that money and invested that into the US, it'd be amazing the things that we could do here. It's crazy what goes on, that we fund all these proxy wars and give all this money away, but we get nothing in the end of it. We get nothing in the end of it. But again, I don't want to get super, super political. But we'll continue this, and then we'll go on with the rest of the presentation.
Absolutely.
Dr.
Thank you,
Smart.
Senator.
Senator Blumenthal's next, but just to follow up on this. Will there be an IG report regarding what happened?
There should be. Usually after the Inspector General's office investigates, they do come out with a report.
If people are pending criminal charges, we're not going to interfere in their cases. But if there's an IG report, I promise you we'll get fully briefed by the committee here.
How can I put this?
This guy, how can I put
Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein.
How can I put this?
Name
Christmas
three
ornaments.
things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think.
Dude, he
That's what the American
he
people
just
think.
mic dropped.
And they deserve some answers. And I know that you're not
He
in
just
charge
mic
of these
dropped.
investigations,
Yes, sir.
Christmas
but you talk
ornaments.
to the people who are. And I need you to take a very respectful message today.
Oh, did you hear her? She went. Did you hear that? Listen closely. She goes.
Message today.
Right there. She feels the shit hitting the
Tell
fan.
the American people what happened. And don't rush it so that they don't do a thorough investigation. But you and I both know they can make this a top priority and get it done more quickly than they normally would.
That's it. All right. Let's move on with the presentation. I'm not going to play all of this, but it's Melinda French Gates. There's a spot on Good Morning America. I'm actually not going to play it because it's like 10 minutes long, but there's a spot on this Good Morning American video that she's just kind of talking about Bill Gates having a very friendly relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And this was Bill Gates's response to that.
Reported at that time that you had
Now, again, you know, it's just a meeting. We're not saying or implicating anything here on the channel. I'm just playing what was the response in the media by Bill Gates when asked about Jeffrey Epstein.
number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
You know, I had dinners with him. I
Sweating a little bit.
regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, you know, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. You know, not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. You know, those meetings
I don't like this guy at all.
were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. You know, that goes back a long time ago now.
Man, he is a nervous Nelly.
You know, so there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continue to meet with him over several years. And that, in other words,
Look at
a
him.
number
Look
of
at his hands.
meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, and, you know, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so
He's like, thank God. It's dead, thank God.
you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
Yeah. I got away with that one.
And
Woohoo!
you know, I'm
Yeah.
very proud of what we've done
Yeah.
in philanthropy. Very
Pretty-
proud of the work.
Very
of the
proud that he's
foundation.
not around anymore.
Uh,
Look at
you
him.
know, that's what I get up every day
Yeah.
and focus on.
Sure you do. This fucking guy. I love it. All right, let's keep moving on here. We got... Okay, so this is going to talk about all the new revelations, and there's a potential link to Miley Cyrus. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Let's see.
Diamond set to be questioned for the bank's alleged role, and also a Miley Cyrus connection. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. New York federal judge Jed Rakoff
Like
ruled that
Jesse
JP
Weber.
Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is to be questioned under oath for his bank's alleged involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking empire. A lot to get into
They're
there, but we
all
wanted to give you a little
involved,
bit of
man.
background
They're
first.
all
So first,
involved.
the financial
They
mogul
fucking
Jeffrey
all know
Epstein
this guy.
was
They all
arrested
hung out with him. They all went to that island. What the fuck, man?
in July 2019 on federal sex trafficking
Yeah.
charges. And awaiting his trial, as we all know, Epstein was pronounced dead in his prison cell, which was ruled
Yeah, I
a
heard that.
suicide by hanging.
Mary.
As for Jeffrey Epstein's former partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, well, she was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse minors. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that famous and powerful figures have been linked to Jeffrey Epstein
You
and that
think?
he visited his island in the U.S. Virgin Islands where Epstein would bring underage girls.
You know what I always find funny? That when they do these types of streams, because, it's, and listen, I'm just saying, everything they always show is like the Donald Trump stuff. Listen, there's Bill fucking Clinton involved. Obama was around this guy. Like, they never show any of the Democrats hanging out with him. It's always like Republicans when they do all this stuff. I find it funny.
Are the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, former L Brand CEO Les Wexner, attorney Alan Dershowitz, all accused, never charged. Now, JP Morgan is facing lawsuits from the U.S. Virgin Islands and an Epstein accuser, alleging that the bank facilitated Epstein's sex trafficking scheme by being his bank of choice from 1998 to 2013. In a hearing last month, a U.S. Virgin Islands lawyer told a federal judge that they have emails suggesting that a transfer of money from Epstein was going to hold, quote unquote, pending Diamond review, meaning Jamie Dimon.
Wasn't there some fucking rumors out there that this guy, like Epstein, was like a CIA operative or something like that? I heard some fucking rumor about that. I don't know if you guys heard that, but did you hear? Yeah, exactly. Here you go. Barbara, why has the media gone silent on this? Exactly. We haven't heard any new updates. So it's pretty crazy. I like that. This was funny. Republicans are evil. I think both sides of the political spectrum are evil. Do you think the Democrats are doing any good fucking job right now in our country? Look what we're doing. We're funding a proxy war right now. You think that's any good? Why don't we hear about the Joe Biden laptop anymore? All we hear about is all like Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. What about this laptop with all this stuff?
Review.
That
Now, the
just
key
got
part of that
swept under the
email
rug.
was it was sent back in
They're
August
they're all
2008.
corrupt. They're
That is
not
very
working for
significant
me and you.
because in June
me.
2008, Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida for soliciting prostitution of a minor. Epstein became a convicted sex offender because of this, and JP Morgan continued to be his bank for 5 years.
Who's controlling our border right now? I'll leave that. Who's controlling our border right now?
The Virgin Islands believe that Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan knew what Epstein was doing and they profited off of this. But that is not all, because we have learned a lot more wild revelations in a court filing, including a
4 years on the
Miley
laptop, no
Cyrus
evidence.
connection.
Okay.
Well, to help me break this down,
Only a bunch
know
of
who I'm
videos of
bringing
him
in,
with
the
underage
expert
girls.
on this case.
Biden's
I'm joined right now by Law and
Biden's
Crime's
son,
managing editor Adam
Hunter
Glassfeld.
Biden.
Adam, thank you so
laptop.
much for coming back here on Sidebar to break down this just another wild revelation in this saga.
Thank you for having me. And you're right, that wild revelation of the name Miley Cyrus coming up. A little bit of context about that. When an email was sent to a high-ranking JP Morgan executive, basically cracking a joke about will Jeffrey Epstein
5,000
show up
agents
to an
on the
event
board.
with
That's
Miley
funny.
Cyrus, was the year that she
I think
turned
5,000
16.
agents are
She
going to hold back
sang
350,000 when they
Sweet 16
charge.
concert in Disneyland. And that's the year where JP Morgan execs are apparently joking about their knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's attraction to minors. And this was just according to the Virgin Islands in this wild new.
So Wing says, Brian Whitney Webb has done a fantastic job covering this clown. These things she has uncovered is really interesting, including some surprise names on the itinerary. Like everybody's on the fucking itinerary. That's the funny thing. Everybody is on that itinerary. It's like not just not like this person, that everybody's connected to this guy.
complaint, an open secret that was discussed, monitored.
Hey, it's my
joked about
platform.
at a time when Jeffrey Epstein, as
I
you
can be
mentioned
as loud as
earlier,
I
was
want.
a convicted sex
I can
offender.
say whatever I want. It's my
Yeah,
platform.
that's not great. I did see you wrote a terrific article. It's up on Law and Crime right now about these kind of 5 big revelations from this second amended complaint. And I actually had to reread one twice because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Isn't there an allegation that the bank, JP Morgan, was providing credit
Of
and
course they
banking
were.
services to 18-year-olds?
Absolutely. So the idea was that they were essentially ignoring red flags everywhere, including money that was being, and large sums of money being paid to young women who were linked to Epstein at a time when, again, they were joking internally about this and monitoring it and raising red flags and say, should we be doing business with this person?
Look at the exhibit.
They're extending
Photo.
large sums of money to these very young women.
And what was the justification, if you know, about why they were doing that?
Well, this is an evolving case. The amended complaint, as you know, was just filed. This basically shows potentially what the Virgin Islands government has gleaned during discovery since Judge Rakoff has greenlit the claims. And to take a step back here, the claims that he greenlit is the allegation, the core allegation, that JP Morgan,
Dude, there's so many people
knowingly
involved in
profited
this with this
from
guy.
Jeffrey Epstein's sex
Republicans,
trafficking scheme.
Democrats,
So that's the accusation. And
sports
since
celebrities,
that time, they've been trying to
sports celebrities, you name it, high-powered CEOs. It's crazy. The list of people this guy was just intertwined with.
lean JP Morgan's internal communications. We might be seeing more of them in this second amended complaint. They are going to depose Jamie Dimon about that email that you mentioned earlier.
Let's talk about that. So Jamie Dimon, okay, he is set to be deposed, I believe, in May. It could be up to 7 hours over 2 days, a combined total 5 hours by lawyers for the U.S. Virgin Islands and an Epstein accuser, as well as up to 2 hours by lawyers of former JP Morgan Chase executive Jess Staley. So walk me through what you're expecting from that deposition, because I've been hearing
Woody
Jamie Dimon
Allen
didn't know anything
I know
that was going
Mind
on
your
with
business,
Jeffrey
fucking
Epstein.
everybody.
At the same time,
Exactly.
why would there be
Where's the
Jeffrey
list?
Epstein's account earmarked for Diamond review? Explain what you imagine is going to happen from this deposition, what is going to be revealed.
I think they're going to
That's the other
sharply
revelation.
question him first and foremost about that email. Now, the bank has been very insistent on this point. They have said that Jamie Dimon didn't know. Now, if that is true, according to the other evidence that we've seen, he's one of the few people in that company where, from the looks of this complaint, it's an open secret. Now, what Jamie Dimon knows is kind of tantalizing at this point. We have that email, and a lot of the other stuff before that has been under seal. We had a public document about why JP Morgan thought there was nothing there. We haven't seen the Virgin Islands document about why they think there is something there. But we know that the Virgin Islands government won that argument. So the federal judge certainly thinks that the evidence that he saw that is not yet public
So much cover up.
goes to at least support a deposition. So
Jeez.
I'm going to wait and see here to find out what happens in the deposition. But the
Victorine's
powerful
got it.
piece of
Lots of
evidence
pawns,
that
lots of
is-
blackmail,
is that
lots of
at
money being paid.
just the immediate wake of Jeffrey Epstein's conviction for solicitation of a minor for prostitution, there was this reference to a Diamond review. The Virgin Islands government is very clear on this point. That is Jamie Dimon, and that the timing just leaves no doubt in their minds that
Is the
he
allegation
told-
that there were red flags that he ignored? And because here's the thing, were they restricted from doing business with him after he entered that guilty plea? Because if he enters that guilty plea, they know what he, that he solicited, he
always
was
about
guilty
money.
of solicitation. Is
Right.
it that they knew they were prohibited from doing business with him afterwards? And what's the difference between just reviewing an account versus, knowingly.
I'll be honest with you, Wings. I bet you we never get the list. Why would they want to put all those people out there? You got to keep hiding the truth, man, you know, because it would bring everybody down.
Facilitating illegal conduct.
Right. And I think that is what JP Morgan is hanging on right now. The fact that this controversial plea deal was so controversial because the charge didn't meet what we now know to be the crime, right? It was eventually charged with sex trafficking, and it turned out to be a prostitution charge, which was offensive to many of his
Prince Andrew.
Now,
I never knew the girl.
what
He said, "I don't know who
pled
you're
to,
talking about."
that might
Fucking right there in the
give
hotel
a
room with her.
vestige of plausible deniability, but there was at the same time a massive amount of public information in the press that we know JP Morgan was monitoring. We know that what was written about the investigation contemporaneously showed that this wasn't just one or two alleged victims, that this was, according to reports, at least evidence of a pattern. And we have allegations and internal communications now coming to light in this lawsuit, suggesting that this was what appears to be an open secret at the bank.
Yeah, because I know that they were monitoring, according to your article, the bank was monitoring reports of a DOJ investigation into Epstein's
Absolutely.
relationship with a French modeling scout who was basically, accused of being his procurer.
Shit, I got everybody fired
They
up
were
tonight on
wondering if
this.
They were just kind of
I
suspicious of donations.
injected a little
that he was
politics, and
making to
everybody's
local
off
law
the
enforcement,
races, man.
Jeffrey Epstein. And then there was
Maybe
this,
I do.
and you tell me
Maybe
if
I
I'm
do
wrong
this a
here,
little bit more.
wasn't there, was there debate within the bank about whether or not they should release him as a client, whether or not he should go? Because he
I
stayed.
literally did not think that the stream would turn out this way. It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's pull this up. Wings says, let's see. Wings says, it's funny you say that. The list has been out, and yet we have zero due to this media campaign cover-up thing. Prince Andrew doesn't sweat, remember? He's like, what a goof. Yeah, it's crazy.
As a customer for 3 more years after he took the guilty plea. Was there internal debate about why he should stay as a
Thanks, buddy.
customer, a client, and why was he a client?
Actually, 5 more years after the guilty plea. He pleaded guilty in 2008, and he was a client of theirs until 2013. In 2010, the 3 more years.
Listen, I know politics can get really, really heated. I understand that. People are going to pick sides. People are going to point fingers. At the end of the day, do you really think that any of these people on either side really give a shit about me or you? They don't. They're all in it for themselves. They're all in for their political clout. They're all in it for money. It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. So, and this is why I always laugh at people when they say, oh, vote for the president, vote for the president. It doesn't fucking matter about the president. Look at your local officials. Find good people to get into your communities that are going to do good things for your community. The presidential election nowadays doesn't mean fucking shit. You have to live in your community. Find good community representatives that are going to represent your views and get them into your offices, because you got to live there. You got to live in that neighborhood. You got to live in that state, that city, whatever. Those are the people that you want to, those are the elections that really matter. And I always get very frustrated. I'm going to go off on a tangent here a little bit. I get very frustrated because my community Facebook page, everybody gets always pissed off about, such and such got back in, such and such. Well, yeah, because only 9,000 people went to go out and vote. There's 50,000 people in my city. Only 9,000 people went out to respond. So the candidate knows, if I can just win over 5,000 of them and 4,000 vote for this side, I'm in. So get out and vote for your local officials. That's what matters. The shit with the president and all that, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Whoo, I get everybody fired up tonight.
One of their compliance monitors, apparently, according to this new complaint, thought maybe we need to let him go. This guy is a risky client. But 3 years after that, we know he remained on as a customer. And according to the Virgin Islands government, and I should mention, according to survivors who are suing separately at the same time here, they had numerous red flags. And we haven't even gotten to one of what they believe to be the most culpable actors here, who is Jess Staley, who was the senior executive at the time, later became the CEO of Barclays Bank, a major UK bank, who now is accused by one of the survivors of sexual assault, which came to light in this litigation. And exchanged
They don't know how to
allegedly
defend it.
1,200
They can't even speak for
emails
themselves.
with Jeffrey Epstein. As a matter of fact, the allegations against Staley, who I should emphasize hasn't been criminally charged, have grown so grievous that JP Morgan is now suing him separately, saying that he acted for his own reasons.
Everybody's
if everything
suing
the
everybody,
Virgin
trying to
Island
cover their own
government
ass.
is saying is true. But the Virgin Island government's lawyer has been quite clear on this point. If Jess Staley is a rogue employee, she said, how is Jamie Dimon not one?
It's a good point. Adam, before we sign you off real quick, 20 seconds, what could be the end result for JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, Jess Staley, if a jury sides against them?
Well, at minimum, a big embarrassing trial and a huge potential judgment.
Bobby's
This is
100%
alleged violation
correct.
of the Trafficking Victims
100%
Protection
correct.
Act, a major federal crime. Could be a heavy judgment, and that other folks may be looking on.
You mean potential criminal charges?
I don't want to speculate on that, but certainly it's happening in the same district that charged Epstein and Maxwell, and you can make of that what you will.
Adam Klasfeld, thank you so much.
All right, we move on.
The new questions we need to be asking about Jeffrey Epstein, because nobody else really is asking these questions. And when you do ask, you don't get answers. When you don't get answers, keep asking. He had effectively a double life, and we know very little about the bigger part of his life. We're not talking about the sex part here. The Wall Street Journal just reported that after Epstein's conviction on sex charges,
William Burns, former Deputy Secretary of State, Catherine Rumler, former White House counsel under President Obama, Leon Boltenstein, Bard College president, Andre D. Rothschild, bank CEO, Joshua Cooper Ramo, former Starbucks and FedEx board member, Edith Barak, former Israel Prime Minister, Woody Allen, movie director, Noam Chomsky, professor. Look at all the people.
Schedules show meetings planned with William Burns, director of
the
CIA. Since 2021, he had 3 scheduled meetings with Epstein starting in 2014 when he's Deputy Secretary of State. Why is a Deputy Secretary of State meeting with a guy who had pleaded guilty to sex crimes involving minors? Catherine Rumler, a White House counsel under President Barack Obama, had dozens of meetings with Epstein in the years after her service in the White House. Leon Botstein, the president of Bard College, invited Epstein, who brought a group of young female guests to the campus. Noam Chomsky, professor, author, and political activist, was scheduled to fly with Epstein to have dinner at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2015. We don't know which of these meetings took place. We do know they were scheduled. That's what the Wall Street Journal found.
Why were
Ariane
they
Rothschild,
scheduled?
who's now chief executive of the Swiss private bank Edmond de Rothschild Group, had more than a dozen meetings with Epstein. Epstein scheduled more than a dozen meetings from 2013 to 2017 with Joshua Cooper Ramo, who at the time served on the board of Starbucks and FedEx. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak was reportedly a regular guest at Epstein's meetings. Epstein was scheduled to have dinner with them and movie director Woody Allen and his wife. Why? Sure, there are the accusations of sex with underage girls and the massages and all the sickening sex stuff that surround.
Let me just pull this up real quick. So it says, as scary how susceptible people are to propaganda, the internet turns into its full nightmare scenario. I don't think humans are long for this world, and it's probably for the best. Laugh out loud. Could you say that maybe about Idaho too? Just pause and think about that. All the crap that's being thrown out there into the ether about Idaho. Could you say that about that case too? I challenge you to think about that. 100%. 100%. 100%. There is so much lies going on with that case right now. It's crawling out of my ears.
Grounded Jeffrey Epstein.
Like
That's largely been
crabs.
adjudicated. Nearly 24 of those women shared their stories in court after he died. But we know shockingly little about why the most powerful
Look at all the
names in the world,
connections.
Bill Clinton, Donald Trump,
Look at all the connections. Holy smokes.
Prince Andrew, Kevin Spacey, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and so many others hung out with a relatively small potatoes money manager who appeared to enjoy the company of underage women. We still know very little about why people trusted him to manage their money, or why even after his sexual deviance became public, the rich and powerful felt
Good
the
stuff.
need to meet with him.
Good
Alan
stuff.
Dershowitz defended Epstein in that 2008 case that resulted in a year jail sentence. Epstein was originally accused of sexually abusing girls as young as 14, pleaded guilty to a much lesser charge. But after that, think about that. After he pled guilty to being involved in some really unsavory activities, the world's most powerful and influential people couldn't get enough of Jeffrey Epstein. Alan Dershowitz joins us now, famed Harvard law professor and criminal defense attorney. It's good to see you, sir. I appreciate it.
He's like, I appreciate
What
it.
is
Did you
the
have any connections to
power
Epstein? The
that
guy's like,
Epstein
fuck no.
had that got so many people to check their better judgment at the door?
Well, I think a number of factors. Before he pleaded guilty, which is when I knew him, nobody knew, as far as I know, nobody knew.
Yeah, she's
he had
crazy.
this secret life. The president of Harvard, many, many other people. He had seminars with Nobel Prize winners. They were interesting, and he was an interesting guy.
Fake news.
Some people, I think, were attracted to him because of his intellect, because of his charm. I think he had some things over some other
Alan
people.
Dershowitz,
I
did you
think
know
he
Jeffrey
had
Epstein?
some
Fuck
extortion
no.
over some people. I think some people may have come to him not for his great financial advice. I never thought he was that.
Dershowitz. O.J. Simpson trial? Was he one of the lawyers in that? I don't think so. Was Dershowitz on O.J.'s defense team?
That good financially. I never
Let
took
me know in the chat.
financial
I
advice
can't remember.
from him. And I suspect there were
Dershowitz
people
on
over
O.J.'s
whom
defense
he
team?
had something involving the sex stuff. Now, the rest of
He
us,
was.
we didn't know
Yeah, I
anything.
thought he
There
was.
were no young women around when I was there as his lawyer. There were no pictures or anything of that kind. But once he was convicted, then a lot of people continued to hang around him. I had nothing to do with him once he was convicted. I
Yeah.
knew what he had done once I was his lawyer, and so I had nothing further to do with him. But other people continued to have things to do with him, and that's a real question. I don't think we yet know why, for example, Leslie Wexner allowed him to have counsel rights over all of his money, or other people like that. I think there's a lot yet that has to
Super
be
deep,
known.
dude.
He did lead
Super
completely
deep.
secret lives. People who knew him early on, like George Mitchell and
They all
other people like that, I don't think they knew anything about his secret life. He kept it a complete and total secret. He had a special area of his house that nobody was allowed near. And but once he was convicted, people should have known, and they made judgments. Some people did it for entirely innocent purposes. He met with Fidel Castro. I was once at Caroline Kennedy's house. This is a name-dropping story. Having dinner with Bill Clinton, and he was president, and the Secret Service came over to Clinton, gave him a phone, and he went away for about 20 minutes. And then after the 20 minutes, he came back and handed me the phone and said, "It's Jeffrey Epstein. He wants to say hello."
Jesus.
Thanks for watching. Go to
Yeah. He wants to say hello. All right, let's see what we got next. Let's take this one from Breaking Points. I like that channel. It gives you two perspective, a Republican and Democrat side. Let's see what they got to say.
Go to the next story here, which is very important.
Shout out to Breaking Points. If you haven't, go over and if you want political commentary, go over and check out their channel. I really enjoy watching this channel. You get a Democrat and a Republican both on the panel, and they kind of hash it out and give you some equal balance representation here. So we'll keep playing this.
And just stunning. And stunning, but also not stunning. It's just confirmation, I guess, of many things that we already knew. Let's go ahead and put it up there on the screen. The Wall Street Journal broke this massive story where they got access to Jeffrey
We want to see the
Epstein's private
names.
calendar from 2014.
Show us the names.
That calendar alone, just from 2014, shows some of the most extraordinary names in the United States. One of them being William Burns. You may not know who that is. It's the director of the CIA, who apparently, quote, had 3 meetings scheduled with Jeffrey Epstein in 2014. I guess, to be fair to Mr. Burns, he was only then the mere Deputy Secretary of State.
No,
The,
no big
Secretary
deal, man.
at the State
That's fine.
Department with longtime ties to U.S. intelligence. He actually confirmed the meeting.
I don't
that
know
was
what the
shown
Danny
on the
Masterson
Epstein
case
calendar.
is.
One
Haven't
that
followed
happened
it.
here
I'm
in
sorry.
Washington, another that happened at his private residence in New York. His excuse was this: he had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was. He knew that he was connected in the financial sector, and since that he was transitioning out of government.
167 people watching. Can you do me a favor? At 81 upvotes, just go down there, smash that like button. It's free. It's free to smash that like button. When we get to 100 likes, I'm going to gift out a membership tonight. Let's get to 100 likes. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, wrenches. Let's get this up. Let's rally the room. We need to get to 100 likes, and I'll gift out a free membership, 1-month membership for free this evening. You guys go down there, smash that like button. You haven't already, and you're in the chat. Make sure to subscribe. I'm on my way to 5,000. I'm so close. I can taste it. Let's get to 5,000. But first, I need you guys all to smash that like button. If you want to join and support the channel, you can go down and hit the join button. Monthly membership started at $1.99, and you can always super chat as well too. That's my spiel. That's it. We'll move on.
He thought it would be a good person to meet. Keep in mind, this is after Epstein has already been convicted.
9
in
more
Florida and
likes.
is a registered sex
9.
offender. So
9.
it takes no more than a Google search. This is where, do you
9.
really believe in the era of Google that a deputy secretary of state of the United States goes to New York City to a townhouse which is infamous for being a pedophile playground and does not Google the
9.
person that he is going to have dinner with? I've never gone to dinner with somebody who I didn't know. I recently went to a dinner party with people who I didn't know. And yeah, I was like, who are these people? You know, I don't even want to be in a sketchy situation. So that's what most normal people do.
9.
And I'm not the deputy secretary of state. And then the
future
current CIA
chief.
director.
Yeah.
I was saying this in our editorial call. It almost just takes all the mystery out of it.
Yeah.
It's at this point, you're just like, yeah, all right.
Come
Like,
on, man.
when you have the CIA director having multiple meetings with Jeffrey Epstein in a single year, by the way, this is the only 1 year that we know about. There could be many more meetings. These are the only ones that you're copying
One
to
more
because they happen to
like.
appear in his calendar.
Nice.
What else is left? I mean, this
Give
is
away a
it,
membership.
people. Like, it's almost case closed at this. In terms of what he did and how many more people are ensnared,
Give
who
away
knows?
a
But
member.
this
A
CIA
membership.
director, it's done.
Yeah.
It's
Boom.
done.
I
Yeah.
mean, his pattern.
Free membership on me. 1 free membership. 1 free membership. We're gonna introduce the new member to the gang. MRG. Welcome to the crew. The crew. 999. And Danger Will Robin says, what a better way, $2 super chat says, what a better way to control than to blackmail. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's keep
Which
playing.
comes out very much in this Wall Street Journal report, which, by the way, I am dying to know how they got this trove of documents, how they got their hands
I
on it.
suspect
and
it
reported
came
out.
from the U.S. Virgin Islands because we're doing our second
Yeah.
segment here in a bit. It almost certainly had to come from them because they have so much access to
Yeah,
this.
I mean, incredible information because this is all, we've heard all about like the Black Book and whatever. Like these were all meetings that were nowhere
Just
to be
release the
found in
names.
that. So this
We wanna
is
see
new
'em all.
revelations about many people that, we had no idea were associated whatsoever with Jeffrey Epstein.
It is.
And
But you
the
can always
picture
super
that
chat.
is painted by the Wall Street Journal here, which is one that we've seen painted before, is he uses his wealth and the connections that he's already established with wealthy and powerful people to bring more people in and get more meetings and sort of convince them, oh, I'm in the club and I can help
Yeah, you
you
can only
with
gift
whatever it is
on,
that you need help with.
desktop.
I'm there to, like, you know, fix your, oh,
Christine
you're going to be
gifted a
transitioning to private
membership.
sector. No problem. I'm buddies with Bill
Canadian
Gates.
Cat Lady
I'll get
was
you a gig
gifted a
with him. You can
membership. She's
represent
now
him.
a
This is a
member.
specific
Now
example,
a
by the way. I'm
member.
not making this up, that comes out in these documents with regard to Catherine Rumler, who was a White House counsel under President Obama and had apparently dozens of meetings with Epstein in the years after her White House service and before she became a top lawyer at Goldman Sachs Group in 2020. He also planned for her to join a 2015 trip to Paris and a 2017 visit to Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Some of the other details here that come out are the way that he would cultivate these relationships, like making sure that that he knew what kind of food they liked. And if they're vegetarian, make sure they had that on hand. He made sure, apparently Catherine liked avocado sushi rolls. So he'd make sure that those were ready for her. There were emails, internal emails that they got their hands on too, where he and others are discussing whether, because she's a woman, she might be uncomfortable with all of these young women being around. So do we need to make sure that they're not around when she's there, et cetera? So there was a very explicit project of Jeffrey Epstein to cultivate all of these relationships, find out who these people were, what their likes were, what their dislikes were, what they needed. And as Sagar was saying, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that someone who was involved with one or more intelligence agencies, that sort of information might be very valuable either to this country or potentially to another country like Israel that he has a lot of connections to.
This is my thing. You know, at a certain point, like, let's just all stop the farce. It's just so obvious, like with the CIA director being met and Bill Gates and the nation's top bankers and JP Morgan and the level of special access. I mean, yeah, look, I get, by the way, also, if you're out there, if the U.S. Virgin Islands or anybody else access to these documents, would love to see them. I would publish them straight up. I wouldn't protect these people at all. Not a single one of them is worth protecting. Rumler,
so
the
someone was
freaking White
asking
House
earlier,
counsel, but also
who's the Democrat and Republican? So Crystal Ball on the right, she is a Democrat. Her political views lean Democrat, and Sagir, he leans Republican.
Also, Noam Chomsky,
But
whose book that we have
when
here.
There's fucking child victims involved. It doesn't matter what political party you're involved with. It's wrong either way.
On the set, a longtime intellectual comes out looking real bad in this one. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Apparently had not only dinner with Jeffrey Epstein,
Yeah, her
but
name's
actually
Crystal Ball.
arranged
It's
a
funny, right?
meeting with Ehud Barak, then the former prime minister of Israel, to discuss Israel's policies with regard to Palestinians. Mr. Barak, we'll show you in a bit, is long confirmed to have known Jeffrey Epstein. The thing, though, about Chomsky is that he said, quote, when asked about his relationship,
Yeah, I
he
know.
said,
It's too
first
bad.
response is that it is none of your business or anyone's. Second is that I knew him and that we met occasionally, okay? And then in March of 2015, Epstein not only scheduled a gathering with Noam Chomsky and Harvard University, but he also scheduled a flight for him. Epstein actually planned to fly with them to have dinner with Woody Allen and his wife.
There's
Woody
so much
Allen, huh?
corruption.
Interesting. I didn't know why him and Epstein would be friends. And Chomsky says, quote, if there was a flight, which I doubt it would have been from Boston to New York, only 30 minutes. I am unaware of the principle that requires that I inform you about an evening spent with a great artist. So, yeah, look, he's done some great work in his life, Noam Chomsky, but doth protest a bit too much.
It lost me on this one.
Yeah.
Lost me on this one. I mean, the first
Why are you getting so
response is
defensive?
that it's none of your business.
Yeah. What's going on here now?
I think it's really important
Yeah.
to reiterate, too, that these were all meetings that occurred after Epstein was a known pedophile and on the sex offender registry. So, anyone could claim innocence and I had no idea before there was an actual.
Yeah, that's right. Pre-2005. Even then, it doesn't take a genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there in another piece. So we're going to talk about, Epstein's relationship with the banking sector. And these executives are joking about his tastes in young girls. So it really reveals too that they knew what was going on. Like, this wasn't a mystery. They were, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like, please, they knew. But he was very effective at maintaining
Purple's
all of the
great.
trappings of elite high society, and I'm in the club and
Purple's
I'm one
great.
of you. And look, if I can meet with Bill Gates, like, who are you to not meet with me? Like, obviously it's fine. And I'm giving all this money strategically, or at least cultivating relationships with various high profile universities as also another way of sort of reputation laundering and getting him into these elite circles and elite rooms. And you know, he was able to get to a whole lot of people.
Yeah, I'm really curious just in general about all of this, because I've heard this excuse too many times. You know, for example, one of them is the president of Bard College. He says that he went to the room because he presented himself as a billionaire and to thank him for unsolicited donations. And they all have the same story. They said, I found him odd and arrogant. What I finally came to believe is why we stopped contact with him is that he was simply stringing us along. Everybody's like, basically like, oh, I came to the conclusion that he was full of it. The only person who's count on that I do believe is Eric Weinstein, who's talked a lot about the dinner party or lunch party or whatever that he had with Epstein. And he came to believe, he's like, this person is he's a fake. He has no idea what he's talking about, because Eric was, know a lot about he worked in the finance sector for a long time. And he's like, I don't believe that you know anything about the purported way in which you make your money. The rest of them, though, I'm not so sure I'm willing to be so charitable here. They're like, yeah, that's why we stopped contact. Maybe you stopped contact, like you said, because you stopped cutting your check, or maybe you just remembered that this is a creepy pedophile that we're dealing with
some of
here.
these people, like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep bringing him up, but
no, you should. I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world. He hung out with this guy dozens of times.
and was getting like marriage advice from him, apparently.
Jesus Christ.
He really claimed like, oh, I barely knew him.
Yeah.
And we
No,
barely
he didn't.
And so also some of the representations about, oh, I totally cut off contact because I saw this guy was a creep and I saw he was a fake and a fraud and whatever. Some of those representations have also not been at least the complete picture or wholly accurate as to what the actual relationships were.
Yeah, all of these people are liars. I mean, listen, if you met with him and you did so, if you did so and you really didn't know, then you need to come out and say so at this point, because now you're just going to continue to look like a fool. And, also look, CIA director, just let it sink in. The director of the CIA, the former ambassador to Russia, longtime connected intel official, 3 meetings in a single year. And we're just supposed to believe it's totally chill. The CIA director had no idea who he was having dinner with.
Right.
This is bullshit.
And the money has always been another piece too, because we know he had this benefactor in Les Wexner, who was the head of the limited corporations, like Limited Express, all those companies. Okay, so we know he has that benefactor, but this is a man who presented himself as and lived as a billionaire, private island, one of the most expensive residences in all of Manhattan, et cetera. And it doesn't add up because he didn't actually really work in finance. Like he didn't really have a lot of clients or anything like that to justify the lifestyle he is able to lead. So it's like, okay, also who was fully funding you? Where was this money really coming from? And, what interest did that person have, or that entity have, in the information that you were gathering? Because that's what's really clear here. He spent his entire life, until that life was no longer, intact, gathering information about the likes, dislikes, and really, in many instances, probably sexual proclivities of some of the world's most powerful, wealthy, well-connected individuals. I'll let you connect the dots as to what sort of entities might be interested in that type of information.
Right. You can also surmise that rich people don't have good taste. Avocado California roll, when you got that much money, come on. Put it up there on the screen that I referenced. Ehud Barak, the former Israeli PM. I've talked about this a decent amount before, who not only met with Epstein many times, almost funded one of his businesses, had entanglements, literally used to stay at his house, but says he never attended any of the sex parties.
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'll leave that to you, allegedly.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully.
Allegedly, sure. All right, let's do this. So now some of this is hitting the courts, and there's a quick little video here, and then I want to wrap up. If my computer will work. I want to wrap up here. So currently, right now, there's a battle in the circuit courts about the documents being released.
The lower court mistakenly thought it did not have the legal standing to release the tapes. but says it actually does. Investigative reporter Terry Parker is live at the Clerk of Court's office downtown with a look into what this new ruling means. Terry?
Hi, Felicia. The Clerk of Courts actually controls the
loud.
records and has them here, but he is not allowed to release them. And finally, 17 years after Jeffrey Epstein was given basically a slap on the wrist charge, those secret grand jury tapes may finally be released. And tonight, both the clerk and the state attorney say they should be. How did Jeffrey Epstein end up charged with only one count of soliciting a prostitute under 18?
Dude, $2 super chat from Danger Will Robinson. He says, Brian, who do you think be outed first? Listen, man, like honestly, the way that things are going, like with Trump, I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to pin this like all on him right now. You know, to take all the pressure off everybody else. But there's so many people that are wrapped up with this guy, so many people that are implicated. You know, I could see them probably trying to whip this all on Trump at the moment because he's got everything coming at it. And fucking Giuliani's all wrapped up in some big scandal now. You know, listen, I get it. We're going into the political season. You know, they're trying to get Trump completely off the ticket right now and trying to throw every single thing they can at him to take a lot of this. You know, it's a lot of distraction that's going on right now. You know, things are very unbalanced. There's a lot of issues in this country. We have a political election coming up soon. So this is to, you know, take a lot of the heat off this current administration and try to throw it on to potential, you know, political candidates that could be running. I mean, we know what's going on. It's chess. You know, it's not checkers. It's chess. It's not checkers. So it's crazy, you know, and they both play the same games on both sides. You know that. I mean, you've been around long enough.
When Palm Beach police had evidence of scores of young girls who said they had been sexually abused by him. An appellate court ruling says a circuit court judge does have the authority to unseal the secret grand jury recordings so the public can finally know what happened that led to that minor charge.
The appellate court sent the Epstein case back down to the lower court, which is going to allow a judge to review the actual Epstein grand jury transcripts and documents and recordings in private, and then determine if there's a public good to be released to the public.
Previously, two judges who heard the argument the grand jury tapes should be released said state law does not allow it. The Palm Beach Post appealed the most recent ruling, and the appeals court concluded the judge has the authority to review the material and to decide if releasing it would help further justice. Clerk of Court Joseph Abruzzo says his office has control of the records, but legally he cannot release them himself, although he agrees they should be unsealed in Epstein's case.
Yeah, he was clearly guilty. There's a lot of unusual circumstances surrounding this case. I think the public does need to know what happened and what transpired in that grand jury. And I think we're getting closer, or we're definitely took a step forward to get the records released.
And the case will not go back to the original judge who said he didn't have the authority to release the tapes, but due to routine new judge assignments will go to a new judge. So it's unclear how quickly he might rule in this case and when and if we will get to see and hear those secret Epstein tapes.
All right, we're going to do one last video. Then we're going to wrap this puppy up. A couple of YouTubers here just recently snuck onto the supposed empty Epstein Island, but in this video, it seems like there's actually a lot of workers there. This Tyler Oliveira snuck onto Epstein Island. I'm going to try to play this. There is a lot of music in this, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get whacked for music, but we'll try to give it a rip and see what goes on here. If there's a lot of music, I'm just going to turn the sound down and try to deal with it that way. So here we go.
That's
if you haven't gone over, go over, check out, subscribe to Tyler's channel and show him some support.
Running towards the satanic temple of the evil billionaire Jeffrey Epstein on his private island, swarming
so much music
with security.
In these videos.
Oh my God! We're being detected. Shoot me if you dare! What are you hiding, Epstein? Made it to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Epstein, where are you? So the first part of this scheme was to get our hands on 2 jet skis while being goofy
Definitely
tourist
gonna get whacked
vloggers
with
asking
music
if there were
right
any
here.
nearby islands we should take a look at while we toured the ocean. Should we go through Little James and Big James, or those no-nos?
No, don't go through that.
They'll shoot us. What will happen?
Somebody's island.
Oh, it's privately owned.
Yeah.
By the government?
No, private.
What would happen? Not that we would ever do that.
I don't know, but you don't want to find out?
Easy. We're good then.
You watch Netflix a lot, right?
No.
Good for you.
Okay, all right. Captain Isaac, we're out. Okay, we're gonna go straight there and then right. I'm on the jet ski. We have this for like 5 hours. We need to do this quick before we get detected by authorities and our jet ski guys, because they're super sussed out by me. We're headed to Epstein's Island. What could go wrong? And after 15 minutes of driving this jet ski like Tom Cruise, I had made it to Epstein Island, Little James. We made it. You can see the temple. I don't know who's there, what security measures they're taking. There's probably government watching, and there might be personal security on the island. As I got closer to the island, it was clear I wasn't alone. Okay, we have made it to the island. Look at that sign. Private property, no trespassing. And there is Epstein Island, Little James. There's a boat on the island right now. The question is, who could it be and why? There's literally someone right there on the island. Okay, we have more people. Look. The whole operation out here. Look at this.
Who are
The
these
golf
people?
carts, people
Who's
that work
protecting
here.
this
We have a
area?
dog. Who is this man? Okay, we have another person, bigger woman and her dog. Probably security or maintenance, but hired by who? A new owner? The government? I'm not sure. But it turns out Epstein's Island is for sale by Epstein's estate for over $125 million. But why is there still so much security on the island if he's dead? And what are the owners of Epstein's Island still hiding? Are they headed in my direction? This is a little bit eerie. With a giant woman. And now they are leaving. We're gonna have to beach somewhere else. We're gonna have to do this quick. We need to get in and out, or we're gonna get shot, I'm convinced. Sasha's gonna whip out the drone, see how many people are on the island itself. I've already seen 4 people launch the drone. Go, my child, find the truth, inspect the area. Now, while at first it seems like a normal island a billionaire might abandon, once the drone flies in a little closer, you begin to notice these carts driving across the island. But who are they and what are they protecting? And then, once the drone started getting closer to the temple, this weird white building on the highest point of the island where people
used to have like blue stripes on it, and it probably got painted, you know, after all this shit went down to kind of hide it a little bit. But
believe it was used for evil satanic rituals, our drone began to experience unexplainable signal interference. RF signal interference. We lost it, so we've lost the drone. They've interfered with the drone. They don't have control. Now, it's important to note that in the last known footage of this temple, the temple was painted in this blue gold pattern, and there's a giant sundial adjacent to it. This now means that the sundial was recently removed, and the temple was completely repainted white. The question is, what are they covering up? And then I saw the guy building right there. Look, literally right there. Look, look, look. Yep, there is another golf cart coming this way. Oh, it's going to get the drone. Okay, don't get caught, Pasha. There he is. There he is. Who is this man? Who is this man right here? We're going to storm the beach like Normandy right now, get on the island, and hopefully not get shot or apprehended. After barely pulling the drone back in, after losing signal, and confirming this place was swarming with what we believe to be armed security, it was time to storm the beach like Normandy. There's the temple! And that was exactly where I was headed. Mysterious
cool.
stairway,
I haven't even
almost
watched
like it's inviting us to enter. Okay, we have another no trespassing sign right there. No trespassing sign right there. And after a full peripheral scope of the island, it was now time to infiltrate. All right, go. Pray for me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
I'm on the island. The temple's behind me.
Yeah, right.
Go straight to the temple.
Sorry for the lag. I don't know what's going on in the video.
There's the just right there. See what I see. They're running out.
The wrong fucking turn.
I had made it to the beach undetected, and I was headed towards the temple. Now, with this temple as the source of the signal interference, it was only logical that there might be something hiding there waiting for me to find. And keep in mind, this is a rough map of the island, and right now I'm here, and this is where I'm headed, forcing me to essentially sneak up a cliff to hopefully avoid security. Don't get built for go-kart.
Speed this up.
It's like an unfinished I just climb up the hill. You think they'd buy security? Weaved my way all the way up.
Oh wait, you made it up there. Hang on.
Down.
Oh
For the
shit!
temple, it
Go
was
back.
time to go for it.
All right, that's what I wanted to see.
Okay, we made it to the temple. We made it to the temple. undetected thus far. This is the temple where crazy stuff went down.
Crazy there,
Look at this.
man.
Look at this.
Look at
Blocked off by steel. Blocked off by wood. Pasha, over there. Come on, Tyler.
Pretty far up.
God, if you're alive, protect me. Came through there. Weaved my way all the way up.
Pretty far up.
Yeah.
That's a far
There's a giant cliff here, by the way. Giant cliff, and then
shit.
Everything's boarded off. The entire place looks to be repainted. It used to be blue and yellow. A ladder right here, almost as if they just repainted the place. This is literally pure white now. Someone took a dump right there. This is the place where evil things went down. In this temple right here, there used to be a giant sun compass that was removed, apparently. There's a bonfire right here. Maybe where they burn people alive or not. I've gotten up here successfully, undetected. There's like a speaker right there. But beyond that, seems to be low-level security.
Weird.
Right now. Okay, there's a sailboat coming in right there. That's not what we want to see. Right now, it's a race against time. Hopefully I don't get to jail. Horrid things went down here. Look at all these benches. Very out of place benches, right? You have benches right here, bench right there, bench right there, bench right there. Look at that. This makes no sense. I'm gonna go back down, see if we can examine the estate. This time I might have to go blitzkrieg. Now I just need to run. My pants are literally falling off. Looks like an unfinished construction pathway. I see what's inside. I don't know where all the security went. I've yet to remain detected. They might be on their lunch break, boozing out right now. Can't just breathe. Behind this rock. Behind this giant, oh my God. I don't like that rock. It appears to be, oh my God. I don't know who this is.
That's pretty good.
I'm running. I'm running. I'm running. I'm running. He's not fast enough on foot. Fast boy. As I ran away from security, I saw this. Oh no.
Oh no.
They got me. I need to run. I need to run. Now, security was right behind me, going full speed in my direction. Oh no! You can't stop me. I can't exactly understand what they're saying, but they're screaming at me the whole time.
They're coming after him.
Run!
Pause that video.
Oh, I'm good. We're good. We're good. I'm out of here. They're behind me. We made it down here. Once we get to the beaches, we're good. A brand new pool right here. We seeing this? Security behind me.
Oh shit!
Not as fast as me though. Gotta keep going. Been training for this day. Oh, he's coming. As I began to run away, Pasha notices this, pulls the drone in, and begins zooming over on his jet ski to pick me up, right as I unknowingly approach a cliff. Uh-oh. And at this moment, it looked like I had no choice but to jump. I'm going down. You can't talk to me. I'm going into the water. Pasha needs to pick me up. Okay, I'm into the water. Security, you get the upper hand.
This is
I'm swimming
crazy.
as fast as I can. Waiting for Pasha to pick me up.
I don't know, but the guy's got some fucking hell of some cardio,
Shoot
bro.
me if you dare! I'm in international waters! What are you hiding, Epstein? What are you hiding, Epstein? What are you hiding? Waiting on Pasha to get away. There's Pasha with the jet ski. There's my getaway jet ski.
It's
We're
probably
getting out of here.
staged,
All right, we're making out. Need a tip.
It's entertaining, though, I guess.
They can get me. Grab the handle.
I mean, bro, you got 3.38 million subscribers. I'm sure you got some dough that you could hire some people and say, hey, you know, act like private security, blah, 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 and set this all up. But it was entertaining anyway. You know, not in like a, you know, the subject matter, but you know, what he did, as I'm saying in the video, God knows what happened on that fucking island. I'm sure we probably have a pretty good idea. So we're going to end this one with about an hour and 30. I want to keep these midweek streams down to about an hour and 30. Let's see, on Thursday evening, I'm going to drop the link for that. Lawyer, you know, Peter Tragos dropped a new video on Idaho. I'm going to do a reaction video to that. And then you're going to want to join us on the super duper 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 show on Saturday Night Live, Super Saturday. I'll drop the link for that. That's more Idaho content as well. And Agent Chase Laura will be joining me on the panel. And you know, those shows get wild. Last Saturday, we had almost 500 people in the chat room. We're going to go over the mysterious missing shower curtain in Brian Koberger's apartment. And we have many, many other things that we will be going over. A lot of the new documents and going all that. Yeah, listen, you know, I appreciate that, Bobby. Bobby says, great job, Brian. Listen. Let's reel it back in. Let's get a little quiet for a second. I know that it got a little political and a little heated, and we all have our different sides of view. But the bottom line is this. The purpose of this channel and the purpose of these streams is to bring awareness to these cases, okay? And it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, what political party you affiliated with, what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. It matters what is in your heart, and finding truth and justice for these victims and putting away the people that cause all this harm in this world. That's why we're here. We're here to respect these, to give respect to these cases and bring awareness. And that's what we want to do here on the Opinionated Idiot YouTube channel. And I will have an opinion sometimes. Some things I will not agree with that you talk about in the chat. And there's plenty of things that you won't agree with me here. But that's why we're all here and we're all part of this community. And at the end of the day, we'll all come back. We'll all come back at the end of the day. That's what matters. We're all, yes, here we are. This is what I mean. We're all here for the same thing. That's all that matters. We're all here for the same thing, to spread awareness and get all these cases out in the ether. And before you all run away, please look into this Jesse McFadden case. It's not a surface layer crime, what is going on in Oklahoma. I'm going to advocate this. I've been tweeting at the governor out there every single morning that I get up, and I will continue to do that until he hears me. No one on YouTube is talking about this. Hardly anybody in the media is talking about what is going on out there. We need to bring awareness to this case. There are children that are involved in this crime. I'm sure there's multiple victims, and the people that are responsible for this, it's not just Jesse McFadden. Believe me, there are more people involved in this. It goes deeper than that. And the families out there right now are exposing a lot of the corruption that is going on in that small town in Oklahoma. Please join me for the McFadden streams. I need 500 people in those chat rooms. If you can't make the lives, go back and watch the lives. It's important to get that case into the algorithm. People need to be aware of what's going on. I've done 2 streams already on this. No other creators have gone near or touched this or brought awareness to this case. It is deeper than we think. There were multiple computers in that house. There were multiple webcams in that house. I'm sure all of the abuse that was going on in that house was streamed across the internet. There are IP addresses that need to be found. Those people need to be prosecuted and put away for the rest of their life if they viewed any of that content. Believe me, it was not just McFadden going to that house. There were people in and around that area. The way that house was outfitted with shackles and restraints. There were other people involved in this crime abusing these children. And we need to get awareness out of this case. I'm going to stand on a soapbox and I will be screaming about this case. You will hear me. If I have to stop doing Idaho content and continue to talk the McFadden case, I will do it. Believe me. Believe me, I will. I will make you all hear me on this platform. We need to engage about this crime and talk about it and get it out there. It's just as important, if not more important, than Idaho. And I'm calling out all creators right now. If you have a platform, Twitter, if you are on Twitter, you are on YouTube, you have a channel, you need to talk about the Jesse McFadden case. Get this case out in the algorithm. Get people aware of what is going on. It's deeper than the surface layer you're being told about. Believe me. And families out there right now are finding out a lot about it. And my platform is open. If anybody knows how to contact any of these families and need a platform to speak on, they are allowed free time on my channel at any time to come here and use this platform to speak about what is going on in that area, That is my promise to you. So if anybody knows them, have them reach out to me, theopinionatedidiot@gmail.com. I will open my platform for them to speak. That's my speech for tonight. I appreciate everybody for hanging out and staying through the end of this stream. I've been contacting him. I've been tweeting at him. I need you all to pick up the phone and call him. Call his office. Let him know that this crime is deeper than it goes. We need the FBI involved. We need higher authorities than that local police department because they dropped the ball severely dropped the ball. Oh, I'm going to get wound up about that now. And then on Sunday, we're going to come back and I'm going to do a McFadden stream. I need you all to come into that stream. There is a lot more going on. Okay, that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate everybody for hanging out. All the new subscribers that have come onto the channel this evening, thank you so much for subscribing. We'll be back here over the next week. I have a stream planned for Thursday, Idaho, Saturday, Idaho, and then Sunday will be McFadden. Please get over and watch those McFadden streams. It's very, very, very important. I appreciate you all. You all have a good night, and I'll see you all soon. If I can get to my outro video. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Bye.